After all that you have been through, and all that you have done, all that you have become, the Aetheran lies in front of you. Divinity is yours to take. Or to sacrifice. What you do next decides your own fate and the future of the world. What shall you do with divinity?
And so it ended. A tale that began with my own ill-fated attempt to rid the world of the God-worker. A new divine rose, a true heir to the Seven, more powerful than ever, and united Rivellon in its battle against the Void. All across the realm he was loved, worshipped and adored. Humans, lizards, elves and dwarves all rallied to his banner. The Great Allegiance stood once more, but the war continued. From the depths of the Void, the God King still sought to return. As for me, I was freed of the God King's terrible tyranny. I avoided an eternity of pain and suffering. Now I fight for the other side. Now, I fight for the divine.
Well, well, look what the cat dragged in. A god, no less.
He smiles at you fondly as he takes you by the hand.
You've done us proud. You saved the world, didn't you? No, we were all of us instrumental, but only one walked away with divinity. I'm glad it was you. Home, if you don't mind. After all, I've dragons to raise. I need to teach them to be good boys and girls before they set the entire world on fire. There may be an accident or two along the way. Please don't hold it against them. I do so long to see my palace again. The Forbidden City, the scents of spices and incense, the sound of sitars in far-off rooms. To sit all day in perfumed shade and watch the white of the marble change with the journey of the sun. But above all, I long to be with Sadher, long to finally have the time to love. Oh, but before you go, remember how when we first met, I took you by the jaw to inspect your teeth? Not something one forgets in a hurry. Now, if you'll recall, as per your own testimony, you can groom, but alas, you've no culinary skills whatsoever, and you lack a sense of fashion. Far from ideal. Still, I'm nothing if not a tolerant man who believes in individual growth. I'm sure the journey taught you much. As such, I'd like to offer you what I denied you before, the opportunity to become my slave. What say you? Well, that's settled. You're very welcome to my house indeed. We'll feast and reminisce. But in the meantime, my boots are not going to clean themselves. You'll have to wear a collar again, by the by. Nothing you're not used to.
Malady stands tall and proud, sunlight sparkling off her mask. From here she looks almost angelic.
Well, here we are again. You, me, and the ship I've saved from ruin for your personal benefit. I'd say you owe me, but why stay the get an eyeful, Your Holiness? I expect it's the last we'll see of each other for some time.
She turns to you, arms crossed, and grins.
Look at you. Magnificent. Don't I know it? Let's hope it pays off.
She fingers the mask covering her face. For a moment, it seems as though she's about to remove it, but instead, she places a hand on your shoulder.
We've come a long way together. I did my best by you all the way. I sacrificed much. But I'd give even more to see you become exactly what you've become. Soon, I'd like to have a little chat about something you can do for me. But I believe that can wait. Relax. Enjoy. I certainly plan to do the same. Oh, I don't know. Around and about. Treat myself to some mead, a lover or 300. I'd say we've earned it. And when the time comes, I'll come find you. Your Holiness.
You escaped an abominable prison and confronted the king of all gods, only in turn to confront divinity itself. Rather, not that your story is finished, of course. Your divinity shines upon all who walk Rivellon. And there will be those that escape to the shadows. Now that I am clear of mind and free of intruders, I'm wondering if it isn't time to share my learnings with the less enlightened. And once I've come to a conclusion, I promise you'll be the first to know. As a matter of fact, yeah, Source makes for an excellent ally in matters of a demonic nature. Not only can Void seep through the veil, but the beasts of Nemesis might similarly slip out of their own plane. Whether you are clever enough of a divine to keep Damien's disciples confined to Nemesis, I can't say. But I think we'll know soon enough. And until we meet again...
The flaming hatchling bounces. Daddy! It takes you a moment to realize the egg you've been carrying has hatched at long last. The chick trills contentedly and flaps its tiny feathers in recognition of its proud parent. It seems you've got a new mouth to feed.
Daddy!
Beast Spirit smiles as you approach and begins to sing a tune you think vaguely familiar.
Here the wild beast just sails on the ocean. He's docked in the bay and coming your way. Off on the yawn, you hear the commotion. He's docked, the cupboard can't hide you, nor can your berth. His daggers don't care about the gold that you're worth.
He pauses, then continues to hum, all the while working his...
Well, Corcus, look who finally graced us with their presence. I suppose some thanks are in order. What? No, you should be thanking me. I just saved the world from the great Acorn. You're welcome, by the way. Honestly, Quercus, some creatures have no sense of perspective.
A huge grin slowly spreads across the squirrel's small face.
Of course, had you not stopped this God King and his lackeys, there would have been very little left for me to save. So?
The cat moves forward, twisting around your legs and filling the air with the sound of dry, dusty...
Ah, Quackers! Please, have a little decorum.
Quercus arches his back, almost dislodging Sir Laura, who just smiles.
This battle is won, my friend, but we still have a war to fight. We've undone the Great Acorn, but the Knights of Dre are still out there. They summoned the Great Acorn once. They will be able to summon it again. We have to destroy their order, once and for all. That is the future Quercus and I have ahead of us. We no longer need a shield, but we are very happy. The honor is all mine. I pray we will not need to call on you. But I never thought I would be proud to have befriended a giant. But there is no... Ow! Crackers! There is no one that we would... I do not know what comes next for you. But you will always have a friend in the fog. Come, Crackers. We must... Oh, I think you have something in your eye, my friend.
The cat curls up and snuggles into his squirrel friend, who quietly sits and sniffs on the deck.
Amazing I'm still here. That we're still here. That Lucian... Well, that relationship always was complicated. You're so much like him. My instincts tell me to kneel to the new divine. I've done so before, after all. But I can't drive myself to do it again.
Gareth beams. For the first time, he is his own man. Yet his enthusiasm is not a man's, but a child's.
A friend, yes. That I know how to be.
For a moment, his mind wanders to memories of friends and enemies, of malady and magisters, of demons and divinity. He is then in the present once more, and...
Friends. I find a way to fit. I wasn't just content to lurk in Lucian's shadow. I was his shadow. Now I stand in the sun as my own man. I just don't know who that man is. And so I find out. My goal is to have a goal. If that makes sense at all. And if it doesn't, well, that's all I've got.
Well, if it isn't the new divine gracing me with his presence. How honored I am. That is the question, isn't it? How does one top the greatest feat of necromancy ever conceived? I might have the answer to that. Tell me, have you ever heard of Gustavgen? No, of course you wouldn't. It's a written language, unreadable to most, but myself naturally. It comes from a mysterious race from another world. Beings that feed on minds. I intend to seek them out. This Gustavgen seems to guard portals to their realm. And once I've uncovered one, well, why settle for being the greatest mind in just one world, and there's another for the taking?
A slight grin crosses the spirit's face. Whether her smile is sincere or not,
I see great potential in our new divinity. I don't expect to be disappointed.
Oh my, you! Look who it is! Our brand new Lord and Savior.
she curtsies low and looks up at you with a grin.
So, what's your first order of business? End world hunger? Instigate world peace? Send all spiders back to hell where they belong? Well, yeah. I'm not the next god. Someone made that abundantly clear.
She winks and pokes you in the ribs.
So? Come on, don't keep me in suspense. What are you gonna do with your almighty power? Big job. I'd offer to help, but I've got some business of my own to attend to. Ding, ding, ding! My loot calluses are all but worn off. I'm a disgrace. So, Chief, I guess this is it, right? Don't speak too soon. You're a god now, after all. Soon enough, your brain will be full of all the fates of all the people in all the realm. Let me know if you see any falling boulders coming my way, though. Or goiters or something.
As she turns from you, the whites of her eyes darken, the veins in her face go grey, and a wicked smile curls her mouth. Suddenly, it's gone again. She winks, and you're left wondering whether you saw anything at all.
See you around.
You're the new Divine. That's so cool. What's it like? Really? Neat. I'd start with dessert if I were you. There's also the matter of my payment for all the stuff I've done for you.
He taps his fingers and mouths silently while he counts, until he arrives at an acceptable figure.
1,300,000 dozen and 50 gold pieces. Now pay up. Oh yeah? What's that?
Han ponders your suggestion for all of a second.
Okay, I love being all sneaky and well, yeah. But you better believe that.
I've never been fond of what the Divine stands for, but I must say, it's rather exciting to say I've been up close and personal with one. Reform my ways? How adorable. No, I'm afraid I cannot escape who I am and what I've done.
Her eyes flick down to your mouth. She smiles coyly, then slinks forward to kiss you. Almira pouts in disappointment, but it quickly morphs into a devilish grin.
Oh, no matter. We'll always have our first kiss. I haven't been quite able to put it out of my mind. Just as who knows? A nice cottage someplace quiet for Mahali and I. A roaring fire and a feather bed. Maybe. Maybe. But a girl needs some fun, doesn't she?
Ifan gives you an appraising glance. Curiosity mingled with an emotion you can't quite put your finger on. Reflected in the mirror of his eyes, you see yourself, majestic, powerful, emanating an aura of purest source. Ifan reaches out a hand and traces your jawline with the lightest touch.
So, you're it. Our new Divine. I truly hope you'll do better than Lucian. Be better. You'll need to do even better than that. But if anyone can, I believe it's you. If I can give one last piece of it, remember that you serve the people, not the other way around. I need to fix what my actions destroyed. I'm going home. I'm going to return to the forests where I grew up, where the death fog detonated. I'm going to plant new seeds and see fresh shoots spring from the earth.
Ifan pulls you into his arms and embraces you. His hands are shaking, his lips tremble. He holds you tight, not long enough, then pulls away.
Visit me sometime. Use it wisely, Divine.
It gives me almost as much pleasure to speak to you as it does to be whole again.
I will always be an ally to those that carry swords, to those whose blood is of the heroes of old. And so, as always, I am at the ready. Consider me to be a gift from Malady. My wood was splintered, but my spirit intact. It was a great feat, but given her skill, not as I feel better than new.
You look out to the endless beyond. The sun's light plays upon the waves, just as it always did. The sails flutter in the wind, just as they always will. And yet, something is different. And with a start, you realize where you must go next. You speak the command to the Lady Vengeance, and another chapter begins. War raged on. Arx remained the center of power as the races united behind the Divine. But the Voidwoken attacks continued as they did elsewhere. Arx would see many more long years of war. The ancient empire of lizards became one of the pillars of the new Divine Alliance. The houses of war and of shadows were particularly useful in the fight against the God King. The Empire used the war to expand its territory. Justinia returned to her throne. Under her rule, the Dwarven Kingdom fought for the Divine, and her loyalty was unquestionable. Many fine and courageous dwarves did their people great honor, in battle and in death. With Lucian gone, the elves reluctantly rejoined the Divine Alliance. Their place in the war on the Void would entirely depend on the integrity of the new Divine. And here and there, across the world, what was left of the Black Ring fought on. The island of Fort Joy remained a sorcerer's paradise, a place of exile for those whose sorcery threatened to bring in the Void. For their well-being, its residents depended entirely on the benevolence of the new Divine. Reaper's Coast struggled on. The farms and the fisheries fought to feed the people against the Voidwoken blight. The black pits took fire. The oil there burns still. Driftwood teetered on the edge of starvation until the night the Voidwoken came from the sea. All were killed. This did, however, put an end to the famine. The nameless isle had vanished. Although only open water remained, by instinct ships would steer clear. None of the captains could articulate why. Sir Gareth thanked the surviving Seekers for their service and gave them their freedom. Disillusioned with ongoing war, he set out alone to find a new purpose. He would never stop seeking. Young Han grew up a warrior and became one of the Alliance's greatest generals. But even he could not win the war. Almira and Mihaili settled in an abandoned homestead. The locals liked and respected Almira. She never wanted for help, and deals always fell to her favor. Outsiders were often suspicious, but no local would speak against her. With a new Divine at the helm, Malady had a powerful ally, but she was in no hurry to call in her favor. After all, it might be the last thing she ever did. Having performed the greatest act of necromancy in history, Tarquin found the new world unchallenging. He became obsessed with rumors of another plane of existence. One day he vanished and was never seen again. Ahu the wizard served the new divine with honor, wisdom, and an at times unnerving feline elegance. Jehan the demon hunter never stopped hunting for demons. Sahala sought to strengthen the elven alliance with the new divine. Her powers of sight proved useful in the ongoing war against the Void, but she could never be sure that the new divine trusted her. Tova, her mother, was Sahala's most trusted warrior. With a small band of elves, Ifan ben Medst replanted the lost forests. After the first fresh shoots broke the earth, Ifan returned to the war, leading the elves in service of the divine. Some say Afrit, his soul wolf, walks the forest still. On his return to the Empire, the Red Prince was hailed a hero. He married Sada, and they had many more dragons. Soon, the prince became the emperor. Faced with dragons, the Void did not gain the upper hand in the Empire. Lohse returned to her music and enjoyed a storied career as the Divine's premier musician. Dark moods would still overtake her, and she would spend long hours walking in the wilds. She always returned with a new song. And then there was you. You, Fane, the eternal divine. What did you do with your power? What kind of divine were you as the world battled on? Did you show mercy or strength? Did you sacrifice others as Lucian had done? Did you regret becoming divine? Did you wish you'd surrendered the power that runs through your veins and sealed the veil? Only you know the truth. Only you know if you atone for your sins.